friends, I thought I would pivot from my mask making mess over to my kitchen baking mess and have a little bit of different fun today in quarantine with Susan. I'm sure you are bored at home like me and stress baking, so that has been a wonderful time waster here in my house. And I've been following along with one of my favorite celebra bakers, Christina Tosi, who runs Milk Bar, and they've got locations. You may have eaten her delicious cakes and cookies. And she has been doing live recipes every day, and one of the most recent ones was popcorn cupcakes. So I thought, why don't I try to make them and then make it into something fun that we could do together at home, since we all love popcorn, and see what happens. So you probably have most of these things in your house, I hope. It requires very little flour, as we all know that is running low right now. So one of the things that replaces flour in this recipe is actually pulverized popcorn. So I hope you still have popcorn in your house. Sadly enough, this is not State Theater popcorn today. This is just some I popped on the stove, which is my favorite way to do it at home. I don't like the bagged microwave kind, but to each their own. So we're gonna actually grind this up into flour and use it in the recipe. So what you need is the popcorn. You need 6 tablespoons of butter. We're gonna melt that. We need a cup of sugar, 2 eggs, 1/3 cup of oil, 1/2 cup of milk, a teaspoon of vinegar. This recipe calls for apple cider. We have flour, just 3/4 of a cup, baking powder, and salt are our main ingredients. And then there are some other things that we're gonna put together for the frosting when we're done here with the main cupcake. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I have never pulverized popcorn before. So I got out my handy dandy little guy here and dug it out of my appliance closet, which I've been doing a lot this week. And we're gonna pop this in and chop it up. I feel like we're getting somewhere, perhaps. It's getting kind of flour-like. Okay, I am not the expert here, but this to me looks pretty well ground up. Maybe could be more, but we're gonna go for it. See what happens. All right, we have grinded our popcorn, and we are gonna measure out 2.5 cups when the time comes. I don't wanna dirty any more bowls than I have to clean, so we're just gonna leave it in here for now. So now we're going to go to my favorite thing in the entire world, my beautiful KitchenAid mixer, and we are going to whisk together our butter and sugar. I melted the butter with the magic of time and camera. We're going to add our eggs one at a time. Is how I do it. It actually doesn't say to, but I'm sure she wants us to. 1 egg, mix her up. All right, we are mixed enough to add our oil. So it just says regular vegetable oil, so that's what I'm using. And we are going to put in 1/3 of a cup. Loud clanging. Okay, now we're gonna add our milk and our vinegar. So 1/2 cup milk, 1 teaspoon vinegar. That looks beautifully combined. Now it is dry ingredients time. Okay, let's add our first cup of popcorn flour. Note, I did pull the unpopped kernels out before I blended it, thinking that would be helpful. And now that I'm seeing, I don't know what a poor job I did blending this, that was probably a good idea. 2 and half cups. All right, let's mix that together. I'm also going to add in my regular flour, my salt, and my baking powder. And let's crank this puppy up. Okay, I think it's mixed good enough. You never want to overmix your batters. I don't know, it looks kind of chunky, but here we are, guys. Let's pour this into some baking cups and see what happens. So normally I would fill a bag and get really pretty about this, but I don't know, we're in quarantine time, so who really cares, I guess? I'm gonna fill these 3/4 of the way up. This is definitely not what I would expect normal batter to look like. So this is an adventure, but I did taste it, and it tastes quite tasty. It's kind of salty. I didn't add anything on to my plain popcorn that I popped, so it's just kind of popcorn. But I guess if you used a bag from your cupboard, it might have like butter flavoring on it or kettle corn. I don't know, you could get crazy. I am not the person creating this, so here we are. Okay, so I just made 12 here. We're gonna pop them in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes, and then we'll come back and make some frosting. Okay, it is time to party with frosting, which is my favorite kind of party. So this recipe calls for a strawberry frosting. I do not have strawberries because it is northern Michigan in the winter. So I have raspberries on hand, which look decent. They are definitely quote unquote wetter than strawberries. So we'll see what happens when I mix them in. I make a raspberry frosting a lot, so I'm hoping this equates. So all we need is our raspberries, our powdered sugar, and softened butter, which I've had sitting out on the counter this whole time. So, and a little bit of salt. So we're gonna mix it together and hopefully make something beautiful. So it is 1.5 sticks of butter, softened, unsalted, but you know, I don't really care sometimes if my frosting is a little bit salty. So we're gonna put that up, and I always mix it a little bit first just to kind of get it going before I add my powdered sugar. Time to add in our powdered sugar. I do it a little bit at a time. Make sure you're scraping those sides, ladies and gentlemen. That's where all the magic happens. You've watched Food Network. You know what happens. Okay, I can add my salt. I guess we're gonna just go with the raspberries and see what happens here. So the good thing about frosting is it's just butter and sugar and whatever else you want in it. So if you don't like your consistency, you can just add more of whatever you want. So I'm gonna add more sugar because this is too soupy as I anticipated with the raspberries. Okay, this looks like frosting and I am very excited. So now we just have to wait for the cupcakes to come out of the oven and cool. Okay, my cupcakes have come out and I will say they look a little insane. They did not bake and rise like normal cupcakes do. I don't know, probably because they have popcorn instead of regular flour. But we're gonna frost them anyways because frosting hides everything. So my frosting is done, and my little pro tip here is I always frost with a frosting bag. Obviously you don't have to. If you don't have one, you can use a Ziploc bag. But pretty frosting on a cupcake makes me feel better. So I put my bag or Ziploc in a cup, fill it up, so then it won't get all over your hands. Then I put this up like this, and we are ready to frost. Okay, here's the first crazy looking cupcake. But we're gonna cover it with mounds of raspberry frosting, which will make everything better. And then we're gonna add sprinkles. Ta-da! Okay. Tastes like popcorn. Tastes like raspberry frosting. All in all, not a failure. Fun to make, very on trend, very on theme. I hope you enjoy.